Für die Raumstation.
Yeah.
Today, Mark Taylor from sunny California. Hey Mark, good to have you here on board of our radio show. You are living in California and are for sure one of the biggest Beatles fans I know. Let us start with this. Why Beatles?
Hi there, Melanie. First of all, thanks for wanting me to do this interview. I feel like a bit of a celebrity, as close as I'll ever get to being one, but I appreciate it. As for your question, yes, I am a huge Beatles fan. I've been a fan of theirs probably since I was as young as 5 years old. And why? I would probably just because of the fact that music really resonates with me. It always puts me in a good mood whenever I listen to it. That's really all I can say about that. Just really love the music. It never gets old. And that's it.
Help, I need somebody. When I sing this song, which one is your favorite of the Beatles songs and why? Is there any moment of your life connected to this?
Favorite Beatles song? That's almost impossible for me to say because there's so many good ones. Maybe the ones I've listened to the most are Hey Jude. I saw her standing there. I want to hold your hand, especially the old ones, really old ones. Kind of maybe they resonate with me a little bit more because I can remember sitting on the floor in the house with one of those little portable phonograph record players, playing the American Beatle issue called Meet the Beatles. I saw her standing there. All My Lovin' was on that one. I remember sitting there with my older sister. We had the phonograph right between the two of us. And I actually still have that album. Obviously, it was played so often, it's impossible to listen to it. So
Scratches.
There you go. Can't really say that I have a favorite one because I love them all.
I remember I collected from my stars. I think we all did. These posters and put these books together where we sticked the portraits or whatever we found. I had one from Gary Glitter, I think. Okay, so let's go on. You made a family trip. It was to the most excited and famous Beatle places in England. What did impress you most and why?
Yes, going to England was just wow. I can't even describe what it felt like, and that was a kind of a surprise thing. My daughter and my wife had that planned for a couple of years, and they managed to keep it secret from me for all that time.
Cool present.
And when I found out we were going, I just about went through the roof because it was great. I was able to see quite a few of the famous Beatle places. We took 2 tours, a walking tour in London and then a private driving tour in Liverpool. And I think the one in Liverpool has really stuck with me the most because I got to see and go inside the childhood homes of John Lennon and Paul McCartney. I think the place that impressed me the most was the churchyard where John and Paul first met. When John's band, the Quarrymen, were playing at a church fete there, and Paul McCartney happened to come and watch. So standing in that spot, or very close to the spot where they first met, was just really surreal to me. I can't even describe the feeling.
I didn't know that, I must say. That's great. You are for sure a walking lexicon of the Beatles. But we want to know, how did you find music? Was this in your family? What was your first guitar and song you played?
How did I find music? I have memories of my father. He used to sometimes sit and play an acoustic, and he would sing these old what do you call them, folk songs, like things like "On Top of Old Smoky," stuff like that. We used to sit and listen to him, and
John
we thought
Denver.
that was pretty neat. Um, I remember when I got interested in wanting to play the guitar is obviously when the Beatles were still popular and a Creedence Clearwater Revival was coming out and becoming very popular. And, that's the kind of stuff I wanted to do. And I can remember when I started taking lessons, it was from this young man that knew how to play all that stuff. The guitar I had, though, I remember this thing. It was something that my dad gave me. And it's something that he bought, I don't know, some garage sale or something a long, long time ago. But the thing had really high action, which means the strings were far away from the fretboard and the strings were pretty heavy. And you can imagine me at that age. I think, oh man, I can't even remember how old I was. Maybe 6, 7 at the time.
That's
Trying
young.
to play something like that made it really, really difficult. And the music that my teacher was giving me, he was giving me the chords that I could play Creedence songs with, but it was impossible for me to do it with my small hands and on that guitar. And I remember one day when I went in for my lesson, I just couldn't do it. And my instructor, who had an electric, let me try it on his electric, and I could do it. Not perfectly, obviously, but it was a lot easier, and at least I was getting the chords to sound. And so I remember that day I went home and I told my dad I wanted an electric guitar. And he said, "Well, when you start getting good enough, we'll talk about getting you one." And then he kind of screwed me over later on in life, and I thought I was getting better, and I asked for one again. He goes, "No, you got to wait till you're old enough and you can buy one yourself." So that didn't make me very happy. But that's it. Kind of. I had to switch teachers for whatever reason. I didn't like the guy I was with, and I ended up over the next few years, getting some really bad teachers that I ended up being able to play better than at one point. And I was playing stuff, that I just didn't like. It was just stuff out of these beginning music books, and it was single note playing and things like that, which I did not really enjoy. So that's really how I discovered music, and that was the start of it all.
So we can be happy you sticked with it and stayed with it and still do songs. I think right now is good to maybe introduce a song from your side. The question for this is, you have a real empathy to play your guitar, from really cozy to rocky. What is your most emotional song you created on your own? Please introduce us this song and what it is about, and we will play it after for the first song in this interview.
The most emotional song I wrote has to be a song that is called My Soulmate. And the way that one came about, I was sitting in the living room, and I looked over at my wife Jane, and I just thought, I just loved being in the same room as this woman. I can't describe the feeling that I have for her. She's made me so happy over the years. I don't know what I would do without her. And just looking at her, I started to hear a little bit of a melody in my head. The next time I came into my music room, I still had that, and I came up with that song that's called My Soulmate.
What to say, Mark, then? Wonderful song, and I'm very happy, or we all for sure, that you have a good relationship to your wife and to your family. Let us now know. This is one of your Spider Couple songs, I think. What is a Spider Couple, and what does it make with the sound, and why you like to use it?
Yes, I do a lot of my acoustic songs with a Spider capo. Now, this is something that my friend Glenn Basham, that I met on Vandalism, he turned me onto this thing. He saw an advertisement for it and he shared it with me. Spider capo, most guitarists know what a regular capo is. It's something that you can put on the neck of the guitar, which will basically act like your index finger or whatever, going across all of the strings on the guitar at a certain fret, which allows you to change the key of the song. But that one goes all the way across and frets every string. The Spider capo, it will capo individual strings, so you can start getting all kinds of sounds that you never would be able to get with normal tuning or a regular capo. And I got one of those things, and as soon as I got it, boom, I came up with a song almost right away using that end. I now have 3 of those things, and they're really cool because you can actually put them on the guitar, capo individual strings, so you can get an actual chord. When you just strum the strings on the guitar without using your hand, you have an actual chord. And I've been able to write songs that way too. So that's what a Spider capo is.
Yes, capo, I said capo, that comes from capodaster. So in German we say capodaster. If you mention Glenn, I think you do a lot of music with various musicians around the globe. There is Michela from Italy, Eva from France, Juha from Finland, more from Germany, me sometimes. What does this mean to you? And can you tell us how it happened to do this?
Yes, being able to do music with people from, all over the globe it's really, really cool. What does it mean to me? It's just, obviously it means a lot being able to do music with people other than, people that in my immediate life, even though that's great too. My son John is the one that turned me on to Vandalism. He sent me a link to it, and I joined it, and almost immediately I started making friends, right off the bat. And that's how I met Melody, yourself, Michela Vazana from Italy, Kathy Short, and now obviously Eva Lane and Glenn Basham.
Sounds so nice, Glenn.
Yeah, just joining Vandalism, and that's how I was able to do it. People started asking me to do collaborations with them, which was a big thrill for me, and it just kind of took off from there, and it's still going on.
One of the most important collab bands you did is the Zeppel Pie with beloved musicians Eva and Gillen. I'm not sure if I pronounce it right. We here in Germany would say Glenn, but as I heard before, it maybe is Gillen. Anyway, how many songs you created together and what is your favorite one? Can you introduce it and tell us something about that? We are going to play it after.
Zeppel Pie. Loved being in that band. It's been a lot of fun. I believe myself and the other two have done 45 songs together. I think that's about right. They were doing it a little longer. Before I joined up, I think put out 2 albums before I even became a member of the band. They had another guy, Remco. I can't remember his last name, but he started touring with his own band and didn't have the time to contribute anymore. And so they asked me to join up. And again, me being like I am, I'm always nervous about things like that. Are they going to like what I do? Is it good enough? Blah, blah, blah. And fortunately for me, every time I have submitted something to them, be it just solos over what they've already done or my own songs, they've always liked them. And that means a lot to me. My favorite one, I believe, I would have to say it's a song called Our Love. It's a very emotional song. The 3 of us dedicated it to our wives. And another reason I really like that one is because I get to do an extended guitar solo at the end, which lasts about 1 minute and 15 seconds. So that was a lot of fun to do. So that song, my favorite Apple Pie song, is called Our Love.
My life would be without her. She and I, our love is forever. I could never live without feeling her at my side. She's my light, my way, she is my guide. Deep inside me, a flame's burning, a never-ending yearning. And when we are entwined, it becomes so very clear that our living love could only be here. Did I say that my life began when she came to me? She opened my eyes, now I can see. If I ever stumbled, I know she would catch me up. When she became mine, I won the cup. Life ordeals, don't think they have spared us. Sometimes our love is hurt. It breaks my heart to see my dear love suffering. To see her relief, I'll do anything. Oh, my love, come snuggle in my arms, I'm your shelter. We can look after our wounds together. I must tell of your wonders, the happy fruits of our love. But it's almost impossible to tell all that's our love.
always amazing to hear these Beatles fans. It's a lot like Beatles. You know, Glenn's voice is very beautiful for this. You like to work as well with the female singers. You did some cool sound with Kathy Short and Michaela Vazzana. You already mentioned them. And as well with me. As concerns Kathy from Canada, which song you made with her and which one is your favorite? And can you introduce it to be played here?
Got to work with some really nice female singers, including yourself, Kathy Short, Michaela Vazzana from Italy. And they all happen to be very nice looking too, which makes it that much sweeter to be able to work with them. Kathy, I did a lot of songs with her. She is since not very active on Vandalism.
Yes.
In fact, not at all. She's mostly working with another person on YouTube. But we did do one song that I really, really like. It's an up-tempo one, and it's a feel-good song. And it's called Don't Stop This Feeling. It was an instrumental that I had laying around when I used to do multi-track recordings using a 4-track Tascam cassette recorder. And I had those tracks laying around, and I sent a bunch of them to her, and she happened to pick that one as one of the ones she would do, and it turned out to be a really uplifting, upbeat song, and she does a really good job on it. And again, it is called Don't Stop This Feeling.
Right, really nice upbeat. And good to hear Kathy. She's a grandma now. She decided to do less music. I think she has 4 or 5 grandchildren. But anyway, I thought to ask her if she would like to do interview too. We will see and learn if we will get some information and music from her side. But let's go now to your rock side of the heart. You told me once that you are a hard rock fan, and your dream was always to play in a famous hard rock band when you had been younger. What are your idols in this field of music and your favorite songs? You remember your first album you had?
When I was younger, before I started working full time, well, even after, I wanted to be in a hard rock band. But it never did materialize. I ended up going to work full time and got married. And again, getting married to Jane, my wife, was the best thing I ever did. My idols, hard rock bands, Iron Maiden jumps to my mind right away. I used to like Judas Priest quite a bit. I'm talking about back in the day. I still listen to Iron Maiden every now and then. Bad Company, I don't know if I'd consider them a real hard rock band, but I listened to them quite a bit. Van Halen back in the day, especially their early stuff, things like that. First hard rock album I ever had, no, that's a tough one. Remember that far back. It may have been a Bad Company album called Straight Shooter, I believe it was. Can't really remember, but yeah, I had Bad Company back then, and of course a lot of Iron Maiden, and there you go.
You love as well today's bands, I know. You are going still to concerts. Which bands you admire and have you seen in the near past? And which concert was the best from your point of view you ever saw?
I've been going to concerts quite a bit in the last, I would say, 10, 15 years, and mostly with my daughter, Kristen. She's introduced me to some bands that I never would have known about if it hadn't been for her. I think the concerts that I've been to lately that stand out the most to me is one we just went to a couple of months ago. Breaking Benjamin was the band. And I swear I've never heard them sound so good. It was just an electrifying show. There's another one where Kristen and I got to meet them before the show, and we got to stand on stage during the last song that they played that night. Also, Nightwish is a really big favorite of mine too. Got to see them live in concert at least 4 times, and hope to do that again. Let's see, Helvetia is another one. They're a really hard metal band that Kristen really likes. I like him too. He's not, on the top of my list, but really, really good in concert. We've gone to see Green Day together a couple of times. Kristen has been to see Paul McCartney with me 3 times, which is really cool. We've seen Disturbed once. And those are the ones that come to mind, just sitting here thinking about it. There are more, but those are the main ones.
I want to catch up this family and music. Your daughter plays instruments, your son as well. Can you tell us a little about that?
My son and my daughter are both musicians. My son John plays the guitar and the bass. He has his own guitar and bass lesson business. He lives in Denver, Colorado, and he is just a monster on the guitar. I remember he got into it when he was in high school. I had taken a lot of time off from it, and I remember I had started playing again, and I showed John a few things, and I didn't know it at the time, but he was getting interested on his own. Listening to some stuff on the radio that he thought he would want to learn. So yeah, like I said, I showed him a few things, and then we found a really good guitar teacher at the local music store, and money well spent on my behalf there. The guy was really, really good and liked everything that John did and taught John a lot of stuff, and John just took off from there. And I could not believe how good that young man got. And every time I see and hear him play, he impresses me even more. My daughter Kristen, I remember her first instrument was a recorder. She used to play along with me every now and then when I would be in the bedroom playing whatever. She would come in, and we made up a couple of little songs that she played, just a really simple backing thing on there.
I see her in front of me with her sleeping dress and sitting and playing on this.
Well, I think when she was in 6th grade is when she took up the flute. I think she told me that there was a choice between fat trumpet or a tuba. So she picked the flute and took some lessons and got really good on that too. I'm sure that I know that you've seen them, and I know a lot of people on Vandalism have seen them. Kristen and I used to do collaborations together where I would just strum guitar chords and she would play the flute, and we did a lot of cover songs that way. Kristen she also plays the piano, keyboards, and she's totally self-taught doing that. She learns things by ear. We've been doing a lot of collaborations that way with her on the keyboard and me on the guitar and the bass. She's also at this time taking violin lessons, and every time I hear her now doing that, every time she comes over and shows me what she's doing, she's getting better at that all the time too.
So music is all around in your family all the time.
So so John, guitar and bass, Kristen, flute, recorder, violin, piano. She wants to learn just about every instrument she hears, so there you go.
I know you do a lot of cover with your daughter. You said it as well. I am very sorry we cannot play covers due to legal copyrights here, only originals unsigned. Maybe you have a piece of music you did with your daughter you can introduce to us, because we want to hear something and to play after, of course.
Yeah, like you said, Kristen and I have done a lot of covers together. We have done 2 original songs. The one it's just kind of really easy listening. The closest one we would have to a rock song would be a song that we called Lucifer's Lament. This was something. It was a piano track. Kristen told me one night she was drunk. And she sat down at the piano and banged out this, what I thought was a cool sounding piano track. She played it for me one night. I said, we have to do something with that. And so I copied that onto my software, and I came up with some lead lines. I did a bunch of different effects with my guitar over the top of it, and we came up with a song. And it is called Lucifer's Lament.
So Kristen gets a little sentimental when drunk. That's what we learned now. What is about John?
I've also done about 8 collaborations with my son, John. Mostly they've been online, sending things back and forth. I'd like to play one of those also, have one of those played here. What I did was I just came up with a rhythm guitar sequence and sent it to John. I said, "Hey, you want to do a collab on this?" And he said, "Hell yeah!" So he put some effects on it and he wrote the lead lines, and that's how this song came about. And he put the name to it. It's called "The Dad Abides," and it's kind of a salute to the movie The Big Lebowski. So here we go.
Rock band you ever wanted to be in. If you have to stay the rest of your life on an island, you could choose one rock guitarist to join you and one guitar. Which guitar and what musician you would take with you? A woman not allowed.
To answer your question, rock guitarist, I choose my son John. Kid is just unbelievable on it. And again, it would be great to be able to just jam with him a lot more than I do now with him living out of state. The guitar I would take with me would be my Rogue Illuminator. Is my favorite electric guitar. It's a cool guitar that I found in Musician's Friend catalog. Thing is made out of aircraft aluminum.
Rocky
and so it has really great sustain on it. Love the way it sounds when it's got distortion on it.
I would like to come back to the acoustic once more. We would like to hear another of your Spider capos. I know you dedicate sometimes to other people. Which one was the most deep dedication from these? And can you introduce this song that we can play it after?
I've done quite a few dedications. I think the one that included the most people, I came up with a song I thought was really pretty, and there's been a lot of very attractive women in my life. Most important one, obviously, is my wife, Jane. But I named the song Pretty Women, and this goes out to every pretty woman, including yourself, Melanie, that's had an effect on my life. So there you go, my Spider Capo song called Pretty Women.
Sounds beautiful. How do you record in your home studio? What is the equipment you use?
The equipment I use is something my son John told me about. He actually installed it for me. It's called a PreSonus audio box. It's got all kinds of really cool things. You can record just numerous tracks. Very easy to use. It's got an interface. You just hook it right up to your computer. And really, that's about all I can say about it. I still don't know. There's really a lot of stuff that I haven't ever really got into. I'm learning more about it as I go along, how to enhance sound, how to get rid of unwanted sounds. That was a big problem of mine when I first started collaborating with people. I couldn't hear it. People were telling me it sounded like there was static or white noise kind of thing on the tracks I would send them, and I finally learned how to get rid of most of that, if not all of it on some, because people now have told me that the recordings sound a lot better and that. So again, I use PreSonus audio box. As far as the equipment I use, like I said, in the last question or the one about the island, I would take my Rogue Illuminator. I use a Rogue Illuminator electric guitar, and I also have an Epiphone John Lennon autographed acoustic guitar. I also have a Fender Strat and another Junior Les Paul. It's a Billy Joe Armstrong. That's the lead singer of Green Day. That's an autographed model that he put out that I also use every now and then.
I would like to make an experiment with you, Mark. As concerns improvisation, which we love to play here, can you take your guitar and play and record something now for around, let's say, 30 seconds, when I tell you the theme shall be blue?
Yeah, this little song, what I did was you wanted me to play something around 30 seconds and kind of a theme called Blue. Blue, the first thing that popped to mind is blue, somebody feeling sad and blue. So I just grabbed my acoustic, sat down, turned the microphone on, and fiddled around, and I came up with this little, I think it's about a 30-second song, and I just call it Blue Notes.
I'm in love with that one. If we now end the interview, Mark, do you have any song you think it is accompanying people home? In my bands, we always had some songs we played as a bonus in the end. Which song would that be, and can you introduce it to us? Of course, we will play it. Thank you so much. That was really great to get all the information and music from your side. Good luck to you and all the best. Maybe one day we catch up with you to see what your music is about. Have a good time, and bye, my friend.
After we got back from England, there was a little town we stayed in, or a little village, I should say, that we stayed in. Really by accident. Kristen, my daughter Kristen, was the one that set that trip up, and she booked us into this place where she thought it was somewhere else, closer to one of the landmarks we were going to, but it turned out to be a little bit farther away. But it was a little village set way out in the country. I mean, it was so green in that over there. We fell in love with that. It was called Elham. It's spelled Elham. And sitting there thinking about it, I started plucking around on my guitar with my Spider capos on, and I came up with a song that reminded me of that little village.
So we say goodbye to the people with Elham.
Well, I want to thank you for having me do this interview once again. It was fun doing it, and I hope my voice didn't sound too funny. I always hate the way my voice sounds on tape, but anyway, thank you once again, and we'll talk to you soon.
MusicInterview. My name is Melanie Colley.